Now for global business updates, Rotus Oddiri joins us.
Good morning, Dr. Basi. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning to all our viewers out there. We begin with oil. There's something very, very bearish going on with oil prices, and that is not good for us. Oil yesterday, I think it dropped almost 5% within the last few hours, dropping further. Brent crude, look at that, is at $73.38 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate in the United States, that actually fell under 70. I added Nigeria's oil price benchmark, 77.96 to the 2024 budget. We do not need oil to be this low with respect to what we need to do with, as far as funding infrastructure and everything else is concerned. Natural gas also dropping as well. While that might be good for the landing cost of fuel, which is still high, I'll get to an interesting chart in a moment. For our revenues, it is not. Asia markets, blood red to start the day, following what happened over in the United States yesterday. Shanghai Composite Index down. Look at the Nikkei in Japan, big loss of over 4%. Kospi in Korea also down as well. The Hang Seng S&P, mostly tech stocks. Nvidia lost I think 300 billion in market cap. So a lot of technology stocks and companies that are associated with Nvidia's supply chains, like Samsung Electronics, like ARM, TSMC, falling. Let's get to the US now. So this is what happened with the markets yesterday. Okay, let's get to the markets now, the US markets. Dow Jones Industrial Average, S&P 500, the NASDAQ, all falling. The Russell 2000, which manages small caps, that also fell by over 3%. So very bearish activity. Why is that? We got manufacturing data from the US that troubled traders. So if you look at the Institute of Supply Management, the ISM manufacturing survey, you can see August came in at 47.2. The forecast was for 47.9. July was 46.8. It's been below 50 for quite a while. Tim Fiore, who is with ISM on their business survey table, here is what he said with respect to what's going on in manufacturing in the U.S. It says, while still in contraction territory, U.S. manufacturing activity contracted slower compared to the prior month. Demand continues to be weak, output declined, and input stayed accommodative. Is the chair of the ISM Manufacturing Business Survey Committee. Another survey, S&P Global, they're also coming in, which is the U.S. Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, that's PMI. August coming in at 47.9, July was 49.6. Similar dynamics. What's this gentleman's name? Christopher. Okay, so we've got a quote from a member of chief business analyst here. That's chief business economist with S&P Global Market Intelligence. Says a further downward lurch in the PMI points to the manufacturing sector acting as an increased drag on the U.S. economy midway through the third quarter. Forward-looking indicators suggest this drag could intensify in the coming months. So we're seeing more pressure there. You guys know I love technology. Tesla has just released its actual smart summons, which allows you to use your mobile phone to summon your Tesla. You have to be in close proximity to it. It's been a number of delays. Check this out. This is a gentleman who was at, I think, a shopping complex. He actually tested to see if the car, because there was a roundabout. A roundabout goes in one direction. He wanted to see if the car would recognize that it had to go around as opposed to cheating and going against traffic. Here's a demonstration of Tesla's actual smart summons.
Smart summon test. You can see where the car is parked. I'm going to go ahead and walk to the left side of the street over here. But what you can't see is this is actually one giant roundabout. So it just locked. But you should definitely not turn left here. And you should go all the way around the roundabout to pick me up from right in this spot. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the car. And we'll see if it decides to do something naughty, or if it knows that it should not turn left into this roundabout. Just went into reverse. All right, it's pulling out. All right, it's not. Look at it go. It's going to go all the way around the roundabout. Oh my God, no way. Here's the live view from the car. And it's just driving over there. Oh my God, this is incredible. I'm literally getting chills right now. This is weird. This is weird. Oh my God. Unreal. And look, it's even pulling over a little bit. Oh my God. Unreal.
Another thing for Tesla owners to brag about. All right, oil, I'll say oil. Petrol prices, you've already talked about this extensively. I know the Dangote refinery dominated the conversation, but the movement in price from the NMPC, the PMS, the 855. I have a chart I want to show you. I want to show you this chart, selective price movements. Just work with me here. If you look at this is PMS in orange and Brent crude in blue. There's two scales on the left and right, so don't be confused. You can see to the left of your screen here, Brent crude starting, and again, sorry, the scale on the right is what you should be looking at. So don't look at the 700 for the blue line. You look at the right. Brent crude as of January was just under $75 a barrel. You can see it falling to about 70 in June of 2023, climbing back up in August, and then look at Brent crude falling all the way down to where we are now in September of 2024. I mean, there were points at which it grew. I just jumped to September. Now look at PMS in Nigeria, going from 185 in January all the way up to, and you're using the scale on your left-hand side of the screen, that's the axis you're using, all the way up to 855. So you can see what happens when you hold prices in place. As crude oil is falling, your PMS fuel prices are doing the opposite and you are climbing. Another thing to note is, can we say this is a phased withdrawal of fuel subsidies? The president didn't speak in, proper communicative terms. Well, I think it's communicative a word. When he had his inauguration, he said subsidy is gone. He spoke in definitive terms. People said it is best to remove subsidies gradually. It wasn't communicated. It wasn't telegraphed to Nigerians to let them know what was happening in advance. But going from 185 to 550 to 617 to 855. You can argue in a disjointed manner that perhaps this is indeed a phased withdrawal.
This is not a phase. This is not an ideal phased withdrawal.
It should be communicated much better.
Beyond communication, I think there are also what we have consistently advocated for, which is that if you're going to do this, especially understanding the impact it would have on Nigerians and businesses in Nigerians, on businesses in Nigeria, then there should be efforts to cushion the effect of this phased withdrawal. We've seen how countries have done it. In other parts, you understand, you study, which I'm sure they've done, and understand the most vulnerable people and also the most vulnerable industries, because you don't want to plunge your businesses deeper into debt or into a situation where people begin to fold up or businesses begin to fold up. I know that we have the taxation committee and all that, but a lot of things haven't been done on the government's part. A good example is what NLC is now coming out to say, that this is them reneging on their agreement. A number of things on the points that NLC had asked the federal government to do in order to ensure that they are able to manage not just a hike in PMS, but also a hike in electricity tariff. Have those things been done, Rotus? Have they been done? So you can't keep asking the people to pay more. I understand your argument for fully deregulating the downstream sector, ensuring that we pay the true value of fuel. Let us use the subsidy money for other projects, infrastructure and the likes. But how about the people? How about the people who suffer? I don't want to sound like a socialist, to the core, but what I'm saying is that the government has a responsibility to the people. And so if the only part they are looking at is how to remove subsidy without the attendant effect on the people, considering that and making provisions for that. I can't remember the country, I don't know if it was Indonesia, the country you spoke about, where they were giving housing allowance benefits in preparation. Singapore in preparation for a hike in prices. So the government was thinking ahead. Before you hike fuel prices, understanding just how dependent Nigerians are on it, make provisions for it. Can we even start with availability of the product so that people don't have to suffer and then have to pay a lot to suffer for it? So I believe that's the grouse of a lot of people. It's not just about the phased removal of subsidy. It's the fact that Nigerians are not getting a good deal. They keep pushing people further into poverty without considering the plight of Nigerians. That is the big deal for a lot of people, and I'm sure that I speak for a lot of people when I say that. It's not about the fact that, we had to remove or increase the prices. It is that the other agreements. Look at minimum wage. Has it been affected? It hasn't been affected. And then you've gone ahead to increase prices. Look at the conditional cash transfers. How successful have they been? Look at the other interventions that the government said they were going to do. Security on our farms, food security, food shortages. Have they dealt with those issues before looking at? So, like Adewale Smart Oyerinde of NECA said, Nigerians are paying for the inefficiencies of not just NNPCL, but government itself. And that's the challenge, the big challenge here.
Just one quick point, just to tell you what's coming. I've showed you oil prices, right? At a 9-month low of $73 a barrel. Oil prices have to rise. At this point, we don't know what the negotiations are between the Dangote refinery and the NNPCL. Maybe the Dangote refinery will tell us the cost of producing a liter of petrol. Because when oil prices rise, that cost is going to increase.
People are suffering.
I'm just letting you know.
On paper, that's the responsibility of government.
Prices will go up.
Okay, I already made that point earlier, but let me make additional points. It's as follows. One, why I was arguing that the president has to take, complete charge of this matter is because of this pricing, the economics of the pricing structure. He's also the Minister of Petroleum. But beyond that, NNPC enjoys a monopoly. Now, we keep quoting the Petroleum Industry Act says the downstream sector has to be deregulated, or is it liberalized? But the regime that we're still facing is a situation whereby the NNPC Limited still enjoys that monopoly. So there's even no competition, even with Dangote Refinery coming with its intervention of competition at the downstream level. That has to be resolved. The second point is that fuel prices have gone up, 897, from 617 naira per liter. In some places, as of this morning, they are selling at a higher price. My fear is that it's likely to go higher. And let me explain.
You are correct.
Let me explain that.
Yes.
It's not a textbook thing.
All right.
It's just plain fact reality. NNPC Limited says they have a black hole of 6.8 trillion naira, billion naira
dollars.
Billion dollars debt.
Yeah.
Now, they have that black hole. They need to fix it. So if they increase to 897 per liter in the next 2 months, how much finished product, how much PMS will be sold to block that hole? So it's likely to still go up. Because if you block the hole by about 30%, where is money going to come from? When the same NNPC has told us that they are already financially depressed. No, not buoyant.
Okay,
they said they are financially restrained.
Yes,
And this NNPC that is the breadwinner of Nigeria, it means that there is no money to just provide their products for people. So that's why the subsidy regime is, by the very plain fact of reality, unsustainable. Now, you talked about oil prices. Yes, the Western Texas Intermediate went down by 4%. 2 basic reasons why oil price is now having issues. OPEC wants to increase oil production.
There you go.
So if OPEC increases oil production, that affects the price in the market. The second thing is that China's economy is struggling. And China is perhaps the largest consumer of,
oil,
crude in the world. So these are the combined factors. As for inflation figures, the main trigger yesterday, or rather stock market, the main figure yesterday was NVIDIA. NVIDIA, this year, we were celebrating had increased by 121% in terms of market capitalization. But that crashed to 118% yesterday, and a loss of 300 billion represented by 10% collapse, and then in extended trading, another 2%. And then the Department of Justice is now probing NVIDIA for, antitrust, issues.
Yeah.
As a result of that, we had a reverberation across the chain from the United States to Asia. So that is the effect. Added to the manufacturing contraction that was reported by the Institute of Supply Management in terms of manufacturers index. So this is the situation they are facing. Indeed. So the implication is what will happen with interest rate cuts.
Exactly.
But Goldman Sachs is telling us, go for gold. When everything looks topsy-turvy, just go for gold.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.